She's tired. Oh, she's not happy. Look at her face. To your left, right over here, please. Did you see that? Because the rest of the world is currently rubbing their eyes in disbelief. We all saw the headlines. We all saw the couple goals trending on Twitter. But what if I told you the entire Met Gala was nothing but a high-stakes performance that ended in an absolute disaster behind closed doors? We're talking about the biggest night in fashion, the legendary entrance of Rihanna and asaprocky, the throne holders of Hollywood royalty. On the carpet, pure perfection. Fixing his tie, whispering sweet nothings, smiling for the flashes. But the second that sprinter van door slammed shut, the mask didn't just slip. It shattered into a million pieces. And we have the frame-by-frame breakdown that the PR teams are desperately trying to scrub from the internet. Is the world's most iconic romance actually hitting a brick wall? Was that secret conversation in the van a breakup negotiation in real time? And who was the mystery woman Rocky was getting a little too comfortable with while Rihanna was literally 3 feet away? The internet is divided, the receipts are leaking, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a diamond-encrusted scissors. Stop what you're doing. Put the phone on Do Not Disturb. Because we are about to expose the explosive showdown that changed everything. Was it just exhaustion? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end for Riri and Rocky? Stay locked in because this isn't just gossip. This is a digital autopsy of a Hollywood meltdown. Now we have to look at the absolute chaos that started the second they stepped onto that carpet, because the red carpet was just the setup for the ultimate betrayal. Everyone knows that the Met Gala is not just about the clothes, but it is about the power move, and Rihanna has always been the undisputed queen of this event. But this year something felt off from the very beginning, and if you look at the raw footage you can see the cracks starting to form before they even reached the top of the stairs. The world saw a supportive partner helping her man look his best, but investigators behind the scenes are saying that those small adjustments were actually intense corrections, because Rocky was allegedly breaking protocol. There are rumors circulating from anonymous staff members that the tension started in the hotel suite hours before the first camera even flashed. Sources claim that Rihanna was micromanaging every single detail because she knew the world was watching, and she felt like Rocky was not taking the gravity of the night seriously enough. You see him smiling and nodding in the clips, but look at his eyes and you will see someone who is ready to explode from the pressure. This was supposed to be their big moment as a solidified power couple, but instead it turned into a battlefield of egos and miscues. The industry insiders are whispering that there was a massive disagreement over a secret business deal that Rocky allegedly signed without consulting Rihanna's legal team first. We are talking about millions of dollars and a brand partnership that could potentially clash with Rihanna's own empire. And this was the energy they brought to the most photographed stairs in the world. When you see her fixing his collar, it was not a gesture of love, but a sign of control, as if she was telling him to stay in line while the cameras were rolling. The public was blinded by the fashion, but the experts in body language were already sounding the alarms. As they moved through the crowd, Rocky was spotted leaning in and talking to a high-level executive from a rival fashion house. And the look on Rihanna's face was pure ice. This was not just a night of celebration, but a night of calculated moves. And it seems Rocky was playing a game that Rihanna did not approve of. The whispers in the VIP lounge were that a showdown was inevitable, and it was only a matter of time before the polished exterior crumbled under the weight of these hidden secrets. People think they know what goes on in these circles, but they have no idea how deep the resentment can run when business and pleasure start to bleed into each other. The situation became even more suspicious when a leaked memo from the event security suggested that there was a brief but loud confrontation in a private hallway near the catering area. According to this report, a male and female fitting their description were heard arguing about a phone, and a series of deleted messages that had surfaced just minutes before they were supposed to go live on the global stream. This adds a whole new layer to the mystery because it suggests that the tension was not just about business, but about a fundamental breach of trust that happened right there in the middle of the glitz and glamour. While the fans were busy tweeting about their outfits, the internal team was scrambling to keep the peace and prevent a public scene that would ruin the brand image. You have to understand that at this level of fame, your relationship is a multi-billion-dollar asset, and any sign of a split is a financial nightmare for the labels involved. This is why the PR machines were working overtime to push out clips of them laughing and joking even though the atmosphere was toxic. The sheer desperation to maintain the illusion of the perfect couple is what makes this entire situation so incredibly suspicious. If you watch the footage of their joint interview, you will notice that Rihanna does most of the talking while Rocky stares off into the distance or gives short one-word answers. This is a classic sign of someone who is mentally checked out and just waiting for the night to end so they can finally have it out. The interviewer was trying to keep it light, but you could feel the awkwardness through the screen as they struggled to maintain a coherent narrative about their future plans. It was a performance that deserved an Oscar, but the cracks were too wide to hide from the dedicated fans who know exactly how these two normally interact. The rumors about the mystery woman also started to pick up steam at this exact moment, because Rocky was seen slipping a small note to a brunette assistant who was standing near the exit. Critics claim it was just a business card, but why would a global superstar need to hand-deliver a note in the middle of a crowded gala, if it was purely professional? The cameras caught the exchange for a split second before the security blocked the view, but that was all it took for the internet to go into a frenzy. The betrayal was happening in plain sight, and Rihanna was standing right there oblivious to the secret communication happening behind her back. As the night progressed, the distance between them physically began to grow even though they were technically walking together. You can see moments where Rocky speeds up his pace, leaving Rihanna to catch up, which is a massive red flag in celebrity body language analysis. Usually they are glued to each other, but on this night it felt like there was an invisible wall between them that no amount of camera flashes could break down. The energy was cold, and the smiles were becoming more strained with every passing hour, as they moved closer to the exit where the real drama was waiting to unfold. There are even reports that several high-profile guests noticed the cold shoulder and started gossiping among themselves about the state of the union. It is said that a very famous mogul even made a joke about Rocky needing a lawyer soon, which sent shockwaves through the VIP section. When the people inside the room start talking, you know the fire is real, and not just smoke created by the media. This was a total breakdown of communication and respect happening under the most expensive chandeliers in the world, and the fallout was going to be legendary. The most shocking part of this first phase was when Rihanna allegedly refused to take a final group photo with Rocky and a group of their shared friends. She reportedly claimed she was too tired, but she was seen minutes later talking animatedly to a group of designers on the other side of the room. This direct snub was the final straw for the evening, and it set the stage for the explosive confrontation that was about to happen in the van. The public saw a queen leaving her throne for the night, but the insiders saw a woman who was done playing the role of the happy partner. We have to ask ourselves how long this has been going on behind the scenes, because a showdown this massive doesn't just happen out of nowhere. This has been brewing for months, with secret meetings and late-night phone calls that are only now coming to light through these leaked investigative findings. The corruption of the image is complete, and the reality is far more dark and complicated than anyone could have imagined. Rocky's reputation as the supportive husband is being dismantled piece by piece as more evidence of his hidden agenda surfaces from the shadows of the Met. The financial stakes here are astronomical, because a split between these two would affect multiple industries from fashion to music to beauty. There are contracts in place that depend on them remaining a couple for at least another 2 years, and the legal teams are already looking for loopholes in case the showdown in the van leads to a permanent separation. This is not just a gossip story, it is a massive corporate crisis involving some of the biggest names in the business world. Every second of that van ride was a ticking time bomb for their joint ventures, and the countdown was reaching zero. As they finally made their way to the exit, the photographers were shouting their names, but they didn't even look back once. They walked straight to the waiting Sprinter van with a look of grim determination on their faces that told the whole story. The doors shut and the world was locked out, but the cameras from a distance were still rolling, and they caught the first few seconds of what looked like a total meltdown. The screaming hadn't started yet, but the silence inside that vehicle was louder than any roar of the crowd they had just left behind. The transition from the bright lights of the gala to the dark interior of the van was where the truth finally lived, and that truth is what we are about to break down in the next phase of this investigation. You are not going to believe the specific details that have emerged about what was actually said in those first few minutes of the ride back to the hotel. It involves a secret account, and a betrayal so deep that it makes everything we just discussed look like child's play, because the real exposure starts right now as we move into the second part of this explosive scandal breakdown. The heavy silence inside that Sprinter van was not the quiet of a long night ending, but the calm before a storm that was about to wipe out years of brand building in a single conversation. As the driver pulled away from the curb, and the tinted windows shielded them from the paparazzi, the real investigation begins because we have obtained reports of what happened when the public eye was finally removed. The first thing that surfaced from an anonymous security detail was that Rihanna did not even wait for the vehicle to move a block before she demanded to see Rocky's secondary device. This is the moment where the polished image of the Met Gala was tossed out the window and replaced with the raw reality of a couple on the brink of a total collapse. Reports suggest that the secondary phone in question was a burner device that Rocky had allegedly been using to coordinate a series of private crypto investments and offshore accounts that were hidden from their joint financial advisors. The betrayal here is not just personal, but it is a massive financial blow because Rihanna has built her empire on transparency and shared growth within her inner circle. To find out that her partner was moving millions of dollars into high-risk assets without her knowledge is a level of corruption that goes beyond your typical celebrity drama. The tension in the van was so high that the driver reportedly considered pulling over because the atmosphere felt physically dangerous for everyone involved. As Rihanna scrolled through the messages, she allegedly discovered a trail of communication with a group of international brokers who were planning to launch a rival beauty line using her own secret formulas that had been leaked from the Fenty labs. This is the ultimate corporate espionage story, hidden inside a relationship drama, and it explains why her face was like stone in those viral clips. The investigation into these leaked reports reveals that Rocky was supposedly offered a massive stake in this new venture if he could provide the insider trade secrets that only a domestic partner would have access to. The abuse of power and trust here is staggering, and it paints a picture of a man who was willing to sell out the mother of his children for a bigger piece of the global market. The conversation inside the van reportedly turned into a screaming match when Rocky tried to claim that he was doing it for their children's future, and that he wanted to have his own independent wealth away from her shadow. This is a classic narcissistic defense used by those who get caught in the act of betrayal, and the sarcasm in Rihanna's response was allegedly legendary. She pointed out that his independent wealth was being built on the back of her hard work and the intellectual property that she spent a decade creating. The fallout from this argument is not just a domestic issue but a legal nightmare, because if these reports are true, we are looking at a massive intellectual property theft case that could involve federal authorities. While they were arguing, Rocky's phone reportedly received a notification from a hidden encrypted app that displayed a message from the mystery woman seen earlier at the gala. The message simply said that the transfer was complete, and that they were ready to move to the next phase of the plan. This was the smoking gun that Rihanna needed to confirm that the night was not just a series of coincidences, but a coordinated hit on her business empire. The realization that her partner was working with a third party to undermine her while smiling for the cameras at the Met is a level of betrayal that most people cannot even wrap their heads around. The investigation has also uncovered that several of the luxurious gifts Rocky had given Rihanna over the past year were actually purchased using funds from these secret accounts, which means they could potentially be seized as part of a corruption probe. We are talking about custom jewelry and rare art pieces that were meant to be symbols of love, but were actually placeholders for laundered money. The irony of the situation is that the very things that made them look like the ultimate power couple are the things that might eventually lead to their financial downfall. The public is still talking about the fashion, but the real story is the trail of digital breadcrumbs leading to a massive web of deceit. As the van neared the hotel, the reports say that Rihanna made a phone call to her head of security and instructed them to have Rocky's belongings packed and move to a separate location by the time they arrived. This was the moment the showdown reached its peak, because Rocky realized that his high-stakes game had finally come to an end. He allegedly tried to snatch the phone back, but the security partition was lowered and the situation was de-escalated by the presence of the professional staff. The sheer audacity of trying to physically reclaim the evidence of his betrayal shows just how desperate the situation had become inside that small dark space. Anonymous sources from within the hotel staff claim that when the van finally pulled into the private garage, the energy was so toxic that the valets were told to stay back. Rihanna stepped out first and walked toward the elevator without looking back a single time, while Rocky followed several paces behind, looking like a man who had just lost everything in a single night. The silence of the garage was a stark contrast to the chaos inside the van, but the damage was already done. The investigative findings suggest that a team of forensic accountants was already being paged at 3 in the morning to start looking through the shared accounts and freezing any suspicious activity. The fallout from this explosive moment is already starting to leak into the stock prices of the companies associated with them. Investors are nervous because they know that a scandal of this magnitude cannot be contained forever by a PR team, no matter how much they get paid. There are rumors of emergency board meetings happening in Paris and New York as the industry prepares for the potential total collapse of the Rihanna and Rocky brand. This is the reality of the situation that the mainstream media is too afraid to report because they want to keep their access to the red carpet events. But we are here to expose the truth that is hidden behind the designer clothes and the fake smiles. The mystery woman who was seen with Rocky has now been identified by online sleuths as a former executive from a major logistics firm who was fired last year for suspicious activities involving corporate secrets. Her connection to Rocky goes back several months, and they have reportedly been seen at several low-key locations that are known for being spots where secret deals are made. The fact that she was present at the Met Gala as a guest of a different brand suggests a level of planning that is truly terrifying. They were using the loudest night in the world to hide their most quiet and dangerous moves, and it almost worked if it wasn't for that one moment of tension caught on camera. We have to look at the consequences of these actions because it's not just about a breakup anymore, it's about a criminal investigation into corporate fraud and the abuse of private information. If Rocky was indeed selling trade secrets to a rival firm, he could be facing years of legal battles and a complete blacklisting from the industry that made him famous. The public backlash is going to be immense once the full details of this betrayal are officially released, but for now the internet is just starting to piece together the puzzle. The tension in the van was the crack that allowed the light to shine on this dark secret, and now there is no going back for either of them. The reports also suggest that Rihanna's legal team has been quietly gathering evidence for months, and that the Met Gala Showdown was actually a trap set to catch Rocky in the act. They knew about the burner phone, and they knew about the mystery woman, and they were waiting for him to make a move in a high-pressure environment where he would be more likely to make a mistake. If this is true, then Rihanna is not just a victim in this situation, but a master strategist who took control of her own destiny at the exact moment her empire was under threat. The level of brilliance required to play that role on the red carpet while knowing the truth is almost unbelievable. As the second part of this investigation draws to a close, we are left with a clear picture of a relationship that was being used as a front for a massive financial crime. The glitz of the Met Gala was just the backdrop for a showdown that has forever changed the landscape of Hollywood power couples. The corruption, the secret accounts, the mystery woman, and the ultimate betrayal in the van are all parts of a story that is still unfolding. Every detail we have uncovered points to a darker reality that most people are not prepared to handle, but the truth must be told regardless of who it hurts or which empire it topples. The tension is far from over because as they entered the hotel, the real legal war was just beginning to take shape in the hallways and private suites. The next phase of this scandal involves the actual leaked documents and the specific messages that were found on that burner device, which will prove once and for all that Rocky was playing a double game. You will not believe the names of the other celebrities who were allegedly involved in this secret network, and the way they were planning to take down the Fenty empire from the inside out. The fallout is going to reach the highest levels of the industry, and no one is safe from the exposure that is coming. The transition from this personal betrayal to a global corporate scandal is what we are going to explore in the final part of this script as we look at the government probes and the financial crisis that this showdown has triggered. The world is watching the van, but we are looking at the ledgers and the encrypted messages that tell the real story of the night the music died for one of the most famous couples on the planet. Stay with us as we move into the final breakdown of the consequences and the ultimate fate of Rihanna and asaprocky in the aftermath of the most explosive Met Gala moment in history. The elevator doors at the hotel didn't just close on a couple having a bad night, they closed on a multi-billion-dollar partnership that was now officially in a state of total war. As the digital clocks in the lobby hit 4 in the morning, the first wave of legal notices was already being drafted by a team of elite attorneys who had been waiting for the signal to strike. The investigation into the burner phone discovered in the van has led to a treasure trove of encrypted data that is currently being decrypted by high-level cybersecurity experts. These experts claim that the data contains a detailed map of Rocky's plan to exit the relationship with a massive portion of the Fenty intellectual property as his golden parachute. The situation has now moved far beyond a domestic dispute and has officially entered the territory of a federal probe into corporate espionage and financial racketeering. Sources close to the situation suggest that the mystery woman from the Met Gala is actually a key witness who has been cooperating with Rihanna's legal team for weeks in exchange for immunity. This changes everything because it means the betrayal was not just a suspicion but a documented fact that was being monitored in real time. The corruption involved in this scheme includes the creation of shell companies in the Cayman Islands designed to hold the stolen formulas for upcoming product lines that have not even been announced to the public yet. As the morning sun began to rise over Manhattan, the first reports of a massive financial crisis within the Fenty parent company started to hit the desks of Wall Street analysts. The stock price showed a volatile dip as rumors of the internal sabotage began to spread through the trading floors like a virus. The abuse of power by Rocky is being described as one of the most calculated betrayals in the history of the entertainment industry. He wasn't just a partner, he was someone with keys to the kingdom, and he allegedly tried to change the locks while the queen was distracted by the bright lights of the fashion world. The fallout from this is expected to trigger a series of resignations across the board as people scramble to distance themselves from the wreckage. In a shocking twist, a leaked audio file from a hotel suite recording has surfaced where a man sounding like Rocky is heard arguing with a legal representative about the feasibility of a quick settlement. In the recording, the voice sounds desperate, claiming that he has already spent a significant portion of the hidden funds, and that he needs a way to cover his tracks before the forensic accountants find the discrepancies. This confirms the investigative findings that the money was not just being saved, it was being laundered through high-stakes gambling and untraceable digital assets. The level of financial recklessness is staggering, and it points to a man who was drowning in his own greed and ego. The public reaction has shifted from curiosity to absolute outrage as more details of the corruption come to light through anonymous leaks and social media whistleblowers. Fans who once looked up to the couple are now calling for a total boycott of Rocky's music and fashion projects. The labels are panicking because they have millions invested in his upcoming tour and album, which are now essentially toxic assets that no brand wants to be associated with. The consequences of the Van Showdown have effectively ended his career in a matter of hours as the industry realizes that he chose a short-term payout over long-term loyalty. Government investigators have reportedly sent a formal request for the surveillance footage from the Met Gala and the surrounding areas to verify the timeline of the secret handoffs that occurred throughout the night. They are looking for evidence of a conspiracy involving multiple parties who helped Rocky coordinate the movement of sensitive data during the event. This means we are looking at a potential RICO case that could take down a whole network of shady executives and assistants who were all promised a piece of the new rival empire. The scale of this operation is massive, and it shows that the betrayal was a group effort designed to dismantle Rihanna's legacy from the inside out. Inside the hotel, Rihanna has reportedly remained in total seclusion, only communicating through her lead counsel and her chief of staff. She has allegedly signed an executive order to freeze all joint accounts and to revoke Rocky's access to any and all properties owned by the Fenty estate. This is a scorched earth policy that signals the end of an era and the beginning of a Cold War that will likely play out in the courtrooms for the next decade. There will be no joint statements and no amicable split, because you cannot have an amicable split with someone who tried to steal your life's work while you were holding their hand. The mystery woman has allegedly gone into hiding after receiving a series of threatening messages from unknown numbers believed to be connected to the brokers Rocky was working with. This adds a layer of physical danger to the scandal that has the authorities on high alert. If these brokers feel like their investment is being threatened, they might resort to extreme measures to keep their secrets buried. The investigation is now a race against time to secure the evidence and protect the witnesses before the shadow network can erase the trail of their corruption. Financial experts are predicting that the total loss from the leaked formulas and the sabotage deals could exceed $500 million if the rival products hit the market before Rihanna can secure an injunction. This is a financial crisis of epic proportions for the fashion world, and it serves as a warning to other high-profile stars about the dangers of mixing personal trust with corporate secrets. The abuse of power shown here is a textbook case of how a lack of oversight can lead to the total destruction of a brand built over a lifetime. The fallout is also affecting the guest list for future high-profile events, as organizers are now implementing stricter security protocols to prevent similar incidents of corporate espionage. The Met Gala will forever be remembered as the night the biggest couple in the world collapsed under the weight of their own secrets. It wasn't about the dress or the jewelry, it was about the cold, calculated moves happening in the corners of the room, while the world watched the center stage. The irony is that the most publicized night of the year provided the perfect cover for the most private betrayal. As the legal probes continue, we are seeing a massive shift in how celebrity relationships are managed by the professionals. New contracts are being drafted that include anti-espionage clauses and strict penalties for any breach of intellectual property by a domestic partner. This is the Rihanna rule that will now govern every major power couple in Hollywood. Rocky's legacy will not be his music or his style, but the fact that he was the catalyst for a total overhaul of the industry's legal standards. He wanted to be a mogul, but he ended up being a cautionary tale for the ages. The final investigative findings suggest that Rocky had been planning this move since the birth of their first child, believing that the family connection would provide him with a permanent shield of immunity. He thought that Rihanna would never take him down because of the children, but he underestimated her commitment to her legacy and her intolerance for betrayal. This miscalculation is what led to the explosive showdown in the van, where he realized that the mother of his kids was also the most dangerous adversary he would ever face. The mask was off and the warrior queen had emerged to protect her kingdom. The ultimate fate of asaprocky is now in the hands of the justice system and the public court of opinion. He is facing a mountain of lawsuits and a potential prison sentence if the fraud charges stick. Rihanna, on the other hand, is being hailed as a hero for her strength and her tactical brilliance in handling such a devastating personal blow with the precision of a military general. She has turned a moment of absolute betrayal into a masterclass in brand protection and personal resilience. The world is watching her every move as she navigates this crisis, and she is not missing a single step. The fallout will continue to ripple through the industry for months, as the full extent of the damage is assessed by the auditors. Every business deal Rocky ever touched is now under a microscope, and every associate he ever worked with is being interrogated by the legal teams. This is a total cleanse of the system, and no one who played a part in this corruption will be left standing. The showdown in the van was just the beginning of the end for a network of greed that thought it could take down the queen. Now that the truth is out, and the masks have been removed, what do you think was the most shocking part of this entire expose? Do you think Rocky deserves a second chance, or is he permanently finished in your eyes? Was Rihanna right to set a trap, or should she have handled it more privately? This investigation has revealed a level of betrayal that most of us can't even imagine, but the receipts don't lie, and the footage from that van ride tells a story that will be talked about for generations. This is the end of the line for the illusion of the perfect couple. The glitz is gone, the glamour has faded, and all that is left is the cold, hard truth of a relationship built on a foundation of lies and hidden agendas. Stay locked in with us as we continue to monitor the legal filings and the court dates that are coming up, because this story is far from over. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next update in the most explosive celebrity scandal of the decade. The internet is screaming for justice, and we are here to make sure it gets heard. So there you have it. The golden couple has officially entered the dark ages. The glitz of the Met Gala is gone, and in its place is a mountain of legal documents, frozen bank accounts, and a betrayal that has left the entire industry shaking. We've shown you the frame-by-frame breakdown, the secret burner phone, and the cold reality of what happened inside that van. This wasn't just a bad mood. It was a total system failure of trust and a high-stakes heist of $1 billion legacy. Now, I want to hear from you, because the internet is absolutely divided on this one. Do you think asaprocky was caught red-handed in a massive corporate trap? Or is there any way he can explain his way out of this? Is Rihanna right to go for the scorched earth policy and cut him off completely? Or should they have kept this behind closed doors for the sake of the kids? Was that mystery woman the ultimate villain, or just a pawn in a much bigger game? Drop your theories in the comments right now because we are reading every single one to see who really called it first. This is the kind of scandal that changes the industry forever, and you need to stay ahead of the curve. If you want to stay updated on the leaked documents, the court dates, and the next wave of exposures, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Turn on all notifications because when the next receipt drops, you'll want to be the first to know. The truth is finally coming out, and the internet never stays quiet for long. Stay locked in. Keep your eyes on the radar, and we will see you in the next explosive breakdown. Don't go anywhere. The real drama is just beginning.